My name is Mark Roberts. I am an in-law of Michael Nguyen's, and Michael's family is here today. Behind us, his wife and his 4 children. We extend our thanks to those of you that are here and also your prayers. Congressman Walters is here from Irvine, part of a constituent. Michael is her constituent. And we'd like to also thank her office in Washington, D.C. and Irvine for extensive work on this case so far. They put a lot of time and energy into it and have been a valuable resource to the family to getting answers to this intractable problem. I would ask that you all respect the family and refrain from asking any questions to Michael and Helen's children. I'd also like to thank Michael's family in Houston, Texas, his sisters, Mindy, Judy, and Janet, their extended family, for coordinating much that has gone on here. I'd also like to thank the other congressional representatives in Southern California that are involved in some form or another. Congressman Correa, Congressman Lowenthal, Congressman Royce's office. They all know that Congressman Walters' office is taking the lead on this, and we're grateful for that. The 7,000 people that have signed our Change.org petition, Free Michael Nguyen, we're thankful for that. I also want to thank the government of Vietnam for treating Michael Nguyen humanely. I'm going to give you briefly a little bit of general information because it's going to come up. The 1994 Privacy Act is an agreement between the United States government and the Vietnamese government that provides for immediate notification and reciprocal access within 96 hours of each other's detained citizens. Bearers of U.S. passports are all considered U.S. citizens regardless of their country of origin, or country of birth, I should state. Helen's family also filed with the United Nations this week an involuntary disappearance form. The ACS, the American Citizen Services, is a branch of the United States Embassy and Consulate. This division of the embassy is responsible for the well-being and safety of U.S. citizens abroad. Frank Shelton, that's with a C, F-R-A-N-C, Frank Shelton, Consulate General in Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, gave the family an update, a detailed update over the last 2 days, the details of which I'm going to share with you now. I'm going to start with timeline to begin with, and I will conclude with those details. On June 27th, Michael left for Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, with an expected return date of July 16th. He had contact with his family and wife every few days during the trip. The last known communication from Michael and his family to his wife was on July 5th, which would have been July 6th in Vietnam due to the time change. Their primary means of communication was Viber, which relies on internet and Wi-Fi access. There was no communication after that, which his wife attributed to possible internet access not being available, either shut down by the Vietnamese government or just due to third world infrastructure where sometimes it is down for sometimes days at a time. On July 16th, his wife Helen had expected, as planned, one of Michael's friends to pick him up at LAX. Michael was not on that plane. That same day, Helen contacted American Airlines to see if Michael was on the plane. American Airlines confirmed that he was not on the flight manifest. On about July 17th or 18th, Helen reached out to some of her husband's Facebook acquaintances in Vietnam, who provided unconfirmable information at the time about his situation and whereabouts. What she found was a Facebook post from July 6th that Michael was missing somewhere near Saigon. On July 18th, she reported him as a missing person with the State Department in Washington, D.C. They advised her at that time that they do not have Michael's name or that his name is on any list of overseas arrested citizens. That same day, she also reported Michael missing with the U.S. Consulate in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. On about July 19th, Helen called multiple local police offices in Saigon to report a missing person. They were not cooperative, nor did they acknowledge his identity or whereabouts, and even stated that Mrs. Nguyen would be required to inquire in person rather than over the phone. Daily calls to the U.S. Consulate in Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon were made, but no information was given out. his wife was referred to the 1994 Privacy Act, which I previously referred to, the agreement between the United States and Vietnam, where no personal information can be given out on any U.S. citizen without that citizen's written consent. On July 20th, Helen started online requests for help from various congressional representative offices, including Mimi Walters' office, who's standing right next to me, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, the President, and the Vice President. On July 20th and 22nd, she called the U.S. Consulate in Saigon to find out any information. No answers were given, again, due to the Privacy Act. On July 23rd, she contacted Representative Mimi Walters' office with Jefferson Cha there to plead for help because the Privacy Act had become a complete roadblock for her. Mr. Cha scheduled a meeting at their Irvine offices on July 27th, which Helen, her sister, myself, and 2 other associates attended. On July 25th, she received a response from Justin Brown from the U.S. Consulate in Saigon, again stating in more detail that they could not provide any information due to the Privacy Act of 1994. Mr. Brown also provided phone contacts for a possible detention center in or around Saigon. July 26th, Helen called these detention facilities and was basically given the runaround with no information other than more phone numbers to call, all to no avail. The July 27th meeting with Representative Walters' staff gave the family confidence that locating Michael would soon be possible. They indicated that they had already been contacted by Long Beach Congressman Lowenthal's staff. They were also aware of the case. Congressman Lowenthal was involved in the coalition of congressional representatives that helped facilitate the release of William Nguyen from Houston, who had been detained a month earlier. Any questions regarding that at the end of the conference, I will defer those questions to Representative Walters that her staff has done. By July 28th, when the family still did not know anything concrete, they started a Change.org petition, Free Michael Nguyen. Finally, on the night of July 31st, American Citizen Services, part of the U.S. Consulate in Saigon, called Helen with the following details. We spoke to Frank Shelton, he's the Consulate General in Saigon. He advised us that Michael is in Ho Chi Minh City, that he is alive and appears to be in good health, that he is being detained in a local detention facility in Ho Chi Minh City. They met with Michael in person on July 31st for a little bit less than an hour. They confirmed that Michael signed the Privacy Act waiver authorizing the State Department to speak with his family, U.S. law enforcement agencies, and congressional representatives and their staffs. That's it. Michael requested a health evaluation from the authorities there. Mr. Shelton also confirmed that Michael is under investigation for Article 109, activity against the people's government. He also explained to us the legal system over there, including that the investigation could last 3 to 5 months and could be extended should the Vietnamese authorities choose to do so. Within that time frame, within that 3 to 5 months plus, Michael is not allowed any family visits. Michael is not allowed any lawyers. He is only allowed a visit from the U.S. Consulate 1 day a month. Nor is he allowed to receive any letters or written communication, even from his children. We understand that the detention center will provide him with 1 basic meal a day, that he is allowed to and also that he is allowed to purchase from the canteen there additional I had to cough anyways, it's good timing. We understand from the detention center, that the detention center will provide him with 1 basic meal a day, and that he is allowed to purchase from the canteen there additional food. However, the maximum amount of money that he is allowed to spend on food and any other necessities is about $80 per month, which works out to $2.67 a day. That amount of money in Vietnam today will buy a person about 1 bowl of soup that is mostly broth and some noodles. I want to emphasize, no formal charges have been filed against or brought against Michael Nguyen. And during this 3 to 5 month investigative stage, they do not have to bring any charges against them according to their law, allowing them, according to their legal system, to deny Michael Nguyen the access to due process and legal justice that we so value here in the United States. As of today, right now, there is not one single charge filed against Michael Nguyen. We hope that this absence of any formal charges clears any suspicions that Michael was involved in any form of anti-government activities. We ask the Vietnamese authorities to release Michael Nguyen immediately. Detaining anyone without charging them with a crime without probable cause is a violation of human rights and international law. While the confirmation that Michael is alive and in good health is a positive sign, we're grateful for that. The next phase of our family's struggle is to obtain Michael's release and safe return to the United States. When we have questions, they will be one at a time, directed at either the Congresswoman or myself. Would you like to make a comment first? Go ahead. I'll defer to Congressman Walters.
I'm Congresswoman Mimi Walters. I represent the 45th Congressional District, and my heart goes out to this family. My highest priority is to secure Mr. Nguyen's freedom and to ensure his safety. My duty is to make sure that the State Department and the White House are working efficiently to secure Mr. Nguyen's release and that there are no bureaucratic delays. I will be speaking with the ambassador in Washington, D.C. tomorrow morning to let him know that it is unacceptable to detain American citizens in Vietnam. The Vietnamese government needs to know that there will be consequences if they don't treat American citizens with respect. I will do everything in my power to make sure we bring Mr. Nguyen home, and I am here for the Nguyen family as long as they need me.
Thank you. Okay, we ask that the media submit some written questions. We'll also take some other questions. Lan Vu is right where? Okay, so you're asking, what do we think of rumor news circulating on social media that he has been detained for his involvement in activities to overthrow the government of Vietnam? The Michael Nguyen that I've known for 10 plus years is a family man. He has 4 beautiful daughters standing behind me and a beautiful wife. He's an independent businessman. He takes care of the family. His wife Helen is an operation room nurse. She works extensively and is on call often. Michael takes first duties with taking care of the children. That means taking care of their breakfast, taking them to school, taking them to all their activities. They're intimately involved in their church. They go to church 2-3 times a week. Some of their children are involved in the church. I don't know where Michael has time to even think about some of this stuff. I know nothing about that. I've never seen him talk about any of that or heard him. So I find that to be not credible. If he's been accused of these activities, what will we do to get him released? We are working with Congressman Walters' office. She is our #1 liaison and point of contact to get in contact with the State Department, to urge the State Department, to urge the White House to facilitate his release. Do you want to elaborate?
I mean, we're going to continue to work with the State Department, the White House, and make sure we get his release. I have most of my staff working on this right now, both in Orange County and Washington, D.C. We are going to stay on top of it until Mr. Nguyen comes home.
Mr. Doe is here. I know he's here somewhere. There he is. Thank you. Mr. Doe is asking, the BBC reported this morning that Michael was captured with 3 or 4 other people and visiting a friend. This is based on pictures on the internet. That's about as much as we know. We do not know anymore. We don't know anything about those people or who they are. If they're tour guide, we don't know anything about them. So I wish I could give you a better answer on that. The family cannot visit Michael, so there's no plans to go over to Vietnam yet. Things are happening so rapidly and so fast that that has not been put on the table yet. We're talking about it, but Michael needs to have access. His wife needs to see him, and it would sure heck would be great if she could hand carry some notes and drawings from their children to their father, who they miss very dearly. Thank you. Before going on this trip, did Michael show any unusual behavior before going on the trip? No, he works a lot at his office when he can, and he's taking care of the kids. All I saw him going back and forth from the house was with the kids. I've not seen anything that would indicate different. I'm at the house every night. I have dinner. Grandma makes dinner for us. It's a big family, and we all eat together. So we can open this up for questions also. Can you identify where you're from first, please?
My name is Nguyen. I'm a KBC Indiana, and also I live in Orange County for 49 years. My question is, I understand what you're talking about, but is that any family relative in Vietnam, and they are allowed to visit?
I believe that they are elderly relatives, most all of them, and the younger ones I don't know about. No, he's not allowed any visits from anybody, with the only exception, the U.S. consulate can visit him one time a month for a half an hour to an hour. That's it, and that has to be by prearranged appointment, which the consulate has told us they will only confirm a day or two before or a few hours before. They don't give much access. Roxana. The U.S. consulate did visit with Michael, had a meeting with him on July 31st, and that is where they obviously found out that where he was and that he's alive, that he's healthy, that he requested a health evaluation, among other things.
What is actually action, the U.S. government?
I'm going to let Congressman Walters answer that.
What was the question?
Repeat it one more time.
What's the actually, action?
What is the U.S. government going to do about it?
Well, there's going to be dialogue back and forth. I'm not going to be involved in those discussions. We are acting as a liaison between the Nguyen family and the State Department and the White House. So they have certain procedures that the governments use among between each other, and so they will follow protocol, and hopefully we will get this done as quickly as possible.
So what will you do with the next to be lobby for him? Will it depends on the reason he will be he got arrested or not?
Well, our number one concern is to make sure he comes home safely. So we are going to do what we need to do to secure his release. As I mentioned in my comments, I'm going to be speaking with the Vietnamese ambassador tomorrow morning, and I'm going to get some information from him and let him know that this is unacceptable to treat American citizens this way and to detain them. And we'll see what his response is. But we will continue to work through the State Department and make sure that we secure his release.
A few weeks ago, Nguyen was arrested in Vietnam. Your college, Congressman Alan went for have a speech at the House that said that if the Vietnamese government didn't release Nguyen, they will be responsible. There will be tough action.
Right.
Will you do that if Michael Nguyen is not released?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the message that needs to be sent. That there'll be consequences for their actions, and we are going to make sure that the Vietnamese government knows that this is not okay.
What ranking of the U.S. government you are willing to go up to get it released?
I'll go as high as I have to. If I have to go to the President of the United States, I will go to the President of the United States.
Thank you.
Have you received any report from U.S. Ambassador?
Am I receiving what?
Reports from the U.S. Embassy.
We will be receiving, I need to talk to my staff to see if they've received anything just recently. But we are in constant contact. My staff is in constant contact with him.
Yes, they received something. Washington called me this morning.
Oh, they did?
Your office in Washington called me this morning.
Are you
Michael goes back about once or twice a year to Vietnam. I'm sorry?
This is 10th trip.
I don't know that. I don't know that answer. Michael also goes back when his wife does volunteer work, helping with surgery for children with cleft palates and different things. So he will go back to support her at that, and at that time, Grandma and Grandpa take care of the kids for that week or two. So he'll go back for that with her every year, in addition to maybe another trip to see his family and friends. Okay.
Are you willing to go to Vietnam if needed to solve this issue?
Who are you directing that question to?
Yes, I would be willing to go to Vietnam to get it resolved if I needed to.
Last week, what message do you want to tell
The Vietnamese government needs to let Mr. Nguyen come back to California. It's not acceptable to hold American citizens, and there will be actions, there will be consequences for their actions if he is not released immediately.
Thank you all very much.
Như vậy là chúng ta đã rõ ràng về cái trường hợp của anh Michael Phuong Nguyen. Anh bị bắt và hiện nay đang ở trại giam ở trại giam Phan Đăng Lưu. Một lần nữa, cái điều quan trọng nhất có thể rút lại ngày hôm nay ở đây đó là anh bị bắt, mặc dù là bị bắt vì lý do gì, các vị dân cử cũng như gia đình vận động ráo riết để anh có thể được trả tự do và trở về California trong thời gian sớm nhất có thể. Buổi tường thuật về buổi họp báo ngay thành phố Orange chấm dứt ở đây. Xin kính chào và hẹn gặp lại.